Well, hello, my YouTubers. This is Yahmina Ysrael, and I just want to tell you a little bit of information. So, as we already know, most people around, well, I'll just say in America, let's just put it like this, in America, has celebrated the New Year's this weekend, and stated officially today is a New Year. But as always, I bring information. If I educate, you do better. If you don't, not my problem. So, I do apologize for that. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened. But anyways, so the reason for this video, as always, is to give information about New Year's. We're in the middle of winter. And I'm trying to understand how people can celebrate something of new in the middle of the winter. It does not make sense. So, in my research, I look it up and I see that we're still following another pagan holiday. As always, we're still up under the Roman authority as we continue to be. This goes out to all my religious people, as well as my people that are spiritual, to anybody that says they believe in a higher power, but they continue to worship an idol. Again, we go back to the same thing. So as I continue to do my research and I look it up, and let's just go back to the beginning. There was a time, and this is going back to when New Year is a time at which a new calendar begins and the calendar year counted increments by one. Now, I have been doing a lot of study of the Bible. And in the Bible, there is no mention of a calendar. Actually, what is mentioned is month or moon, which is synonymous to each other. When a new moon, a new cycle of a moon begins, that begins a new month. Now, I am a Hebrew, so I go by the months. And we just officially got in our 10th month, second day. Yesterday was 10th month of the first day. We saw our new moon. We had a full 30-day month. So, in the beginning, and I do apologize, I want to read Genesis 1, verses 14. So this kind of gives you how, especially our Hebrews, are supposed to live. So it says, and Elohim said, let there be light in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for light in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And Elohim set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw it that it was good. And the evening and morning were the fourth day. So, now, most people say, well, what's that supposed to mean? What is that supposed to justify? Well, let me explain it to you in layman's term. When the day begins, it begins of the break of day, Barak, break of day. Now, the sun does not have to be out to be the break of day. The sun is there as a control of light, as a ruler of day. The moon is the only time that it does a full cycle. It does not come out as a full moon every day. It begins a cycle, which begins a month. We did not have calendars as when the Roman Empire created. They created a calendar. There is nothing in the word that states calendar. So how do we determine our feast days, our things that have happened and what we need to do and how we need to go? We look at the cycle of the moon. That gives you your months. It could be 29 days or it could be 30 days. Now, we go to Exodus 12, and this talks about our beginning. So, the God of the Hebrews, which was called Yahweh, and at the time, we were in captivity in Egypt, okay? So we understood who we were. We knew what we were going through, the persecution of Egypt and so forth and so on. And everybody knows the story. We've seen it on the movies and so forth and so on. So they have brought us out. Yahweh brought us out of the bondage of Egypt. Now, most people in this world celebrates the Passover as the false deity that died on the wood. Now, I do not say it, as I said before in some of my other things, but as it goes back to Deuteronomy 28, where we talked about that we were going to be serving wood and stone. The wood god and the stone god. If you understand the concept and the breakdown of why it is a wood god and a stone god, you understand what you are worshiping. So, most people around the world, they wear what on their neck? A cross. What did the one idol died on? A cross. And then if you want to understand the stone god, which is the so-called virgin of the mother, to give birth to the wood god. So as we already understand, if you have not truly woke up and clear your mind, and maybe might want to go back and reread, which most people call is the Old Testament, but this is called the Holy Scriptures. You might be enlightened to understand that the two books do not go together. People have tried to make it fit because they want to endorse the New Testament. If you remember, the New Testament was written completely by Roman, and they're trying to make it say, well, no, the Hebrews wrote it. Well, okay, let's clear this up real quick. Why would we change our names? Come on now. Let's get a little knowledge in this. From the time of Genesis all the way up to Malachi, it was all Hebrew. It was the understanding of us as a people. Then we in captivity with Roman, and all of a sudden now we're supposed to be serving some person that came down and took away your sins. Doesn't make any sense. So, as I wanted to go back. So, in Exodus 12, it says that it's the Passover, institution by Yahweh. And Elohim and Yahweh spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, and a lamb for a house. Now, what I want you to understand and really take heed of what he was saying as the first month. So we're going to go to Exodus 16. I'm sorry. Let's refresh back. We're going to go back And please forgive me, I'm still reading it, so I just want to make sure I get the right information for you. So it still is in Exodus 12, which is, it talks about the month of the Abib. The Abib is the green ear barley that grows wild, and you don't have to do anything to it. You don't have to fertilize it, you don't have to grow it, but it's in Jerusalem. It just grows wild. And this was the time of the Passover when Yahweh went through the land of Egypt. He petitioned the death angel to go through the land of Egypt and kill all the firstborns. Now, if everybody remembers the story, this is a time when all Hebrews had to do a certain thing. They had to kill a lamb, paint it on the post, the blood of the lamb on the post, so the death angel can go past and not kill any of the firstborns of the Hebrews. And not only that, you could not go outside. So there was a whole situation that took place with that. So, but to really kind of clear everything up, the reason why I talk about this is because when I tell people that you cannot celebrate something new in the middle of the winter, it does not make any sense. The winter is what it is. It is dormant. You don't do anything. Now, because we have been conditioned to follow the heathens because of their traditions and their ways of believing and their idealistic ways, we have just fallen to place. Because as clearly Yahweh says, we are still homeborn slaves. We don't want to give up on those way of life because we've been comfortable. Okay. But unfortunately, let's just clear this up. So the new year that you have been celebrating is the Gregorian calendar. As I said before, there is no calendar in the word of Yah. Okay. The Gregorian calendar is mostly widely used a calendar system today of New Year's occur on January 1st, the New Year's Day. This was also a case both in the old Roman calendar, at least after about 713 BC, and the Julian calendar that succeeded. During the Middle Ages in the Western Europe, while Julian calendar was still used, authorities moved New Year's Day variously depending upon it located to one of the several other months. Them either March 1st, March 25th, Easter Day, whatever, these different still pagan holidays. But the point was is that at one point, everybody across the world before Roman decided to change the time of a new year was kind of on the same page of knowing that when a new year started, which most people see it as the word spring, which is another pagan realistic word, because there is no real, as I want to call it, there is no spring. The creator stated there was summer and there was winter, the beginning of the summer and the end of the winter. And that's how we lived our lives before we were moved into this land of called captivity. Now, you have a lot of pastors who telling you, don't read the Old Testament, it's done away, and so forth and so on. You might want to actually question that, because why are they telling you not to read the Old Testament? There's something that's wrong with that. First of all, why are they telling you not to read, period? You need to understand that if you do not open your mind and actually realize that you need to read and knowledge yourself of how you are as a person, instead of following like a sheep, control of your own self. Deuteronomy 24:16 says, and one thing that I really like to kind of go back to is, it says here, thou shalt not oppress and hire servants, that is poor or and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or of thy stranger that are in the land within thy gates. As he at his day thou shalt give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it, for he is poor, and the setteth in his heart upon it, lest it cry against thee unto Yahweh, and it be a sin unto thee. The father shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the father. Every man shall be put to death for his own sins. This is where you really need to pay attention, because it's telling you, it goes against completely with this wood god that we have been worshiping. And please understand, I done it myself in my past, but when you know better, you do better. And you start understanding that maybe I might not be doing something right. So you do research, you do read, you do try to find out what's really going on. Because why are they so much a petition of you not reading the Old Testament? It doesn't make any sense. So to go back, so the point of what I'm trying to get you to see is this: that if you continue to read or do the same way that the heathens do, because one of the things you have to understand, and I talked about this in Jeremiah 10, and this is where it kind of gets to the nitty gritty of it. Jeremiah 10:1 says, "Hear ye the word of which Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the ways of the heathens, and be not dismayed at the signs of heavens. For the heathens are dismayed at them. For the custom of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with an axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails, with a hammer, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs to be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. For as much as there is none like unto Yahweh, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. Who will not fear the O King of nations? For to do thee doeth it appertain. For as much as among all the wise men of the nation, and all in their kingdoms, there is none like unto thee. But they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. Silver spread into the places brought from the Tarshish, and the gold from the Euphrates, the work of the workmen and of the hands of the founders. Blue and purple is their clothing. They are all the work of cunning men." So, my people, my Hebrew brothers and sisters, I do understand that we get caught up in living under this rule of Roman. And if you don't think you're not in the new era of Roman, then you really need to wake up. Because if you are black in this part of America, and please understand something, I'm not here to say, oh, I hate America or whatever the case may be. It's not even about that. It's about knowing who I am and living the way I was supposed to live before my ancestors were captive and put on this land as slaves. Yes, we have come a long way, but in all things that we do, we have to knowledge ourselves and wake up. And stop continuing to doing the same thing and expect a different results. At the end of the day, you are responsible for your own salvation, your own way of living, and how you want to live. If you choose to continue to follow behind the heathens and continue to keep celebrating these idolistic days, then that is your life. And you will have to pay that consequence when that day comes. If you feel that is right, who am I to tell you that is wrong? But I petition you to educate yourself and figure out that is it truly the right way to do. This idol is called Janus, which is derived of January. And that is the Roman Gregorian idol. Every month is an idol, and you give it life every time. And if you don't think you are, then you might want to consider waking up and seeing that you are doing that. I've had friends that invited me to their New Year's Eve parties and all that stuff, and I, kindly declined because I did not believe in celebrating a New Year's in the middle of the winter. And first of all, I do not give life to idols. That is not my way of living, and that's not what I'm going to do. So I don't hope to lose any friends, and but I do want to educate and enlighten them to maybe, hopefully, they might want to change how they do things. Some people are not going to take this. They're going to ignore it and say, oh, no, I don't know what she's talking about. She don't know what she's talking about. And that's fine. It is what it is. But I tell you that the information is there. It gives you so much. And they put it out there. And this is the craziest thing that I truly have to kind of laugh about, is that they have the information there and most people won't go and research it. And the fact that they do it really tells me and think, like, what are they thinking about? But the one thing that a Gentile has said, as they have enlightened themselves and educate themselves in the best way that they could, after years of not even knowing who they were in the first place, because they were still in the mountains eating on rats, pigs, and their own self. But the point is, they said if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in a book. And I say that derogatory word because I want you to understand that this is how they look at you. Now, yes, you have educated yourself on their academia and all the stuff that they tell you need to do to be able to succeed in America. And still, we have people that are paid less than their counterparts, and they half the time can't even get a job. And we still got the number one country of black males locked up. We are in the 2 million mark now. So what does that tell you? I want to say another thing is that if you get an opportunity, if you have Netflix, check out 13. This gives you the history of penitentiaries, prisons, and how they have occupied them by our sweat and our blood of our brothers and sisters. The majority of them are our brothers. And please understand something. After the quote unquote, that's supposed to be Jim Crow law and all the other time when we got free, we never were free. It was another way of controlling. So now you're supposed to be free, but if you get caught in doing something that you probably didn't even do, because we still got some people that are actually innocent locked up. I don't get it. I don't understand. But as I said before, I tell people this is what it is. Wake up, Yisrael. Wake up, my Hebrew brothers and sisters. Because if you don't take heed, and you don't have to take my word, all I'm telling you is I'm petitioning you to do your research. The information is there. You have an opportunity to change how you live and do better. If you honestly think that we're going to have the best of years coming up, you got a rude awakening coming. The righteous will be protected because they know who they are and who they serve. But I cannot speak for the rest of my brothers and sisters. I do pray that you do wake up. I do pray that people really take the time and listen and research and read, study, and apply. I bid you well, and I say shalom. Shalom, shalom, shalom.